Welcome to our regularly scheduled commission meeting. The date is March 22nd, 2023, and the time is now 7:07. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Bass.
Here.
Vice Mayor Irvin.
Here.
Commissioner Kelly.
Present.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Mayor Taylor.
Present. Can we stand for the invocation done by Commissioner Williams?
Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for all the many blessings you bestowed upon us this day and every day. Lord, we thank you for continuing to watch over us and our families, keep us as a city whole, and ensure that we move forward the agenda that you have in place as long as we keep our eyes on you, Heavenly Father. In these things we ask, amen.
Amen. The pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag.
The United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, do we have any awards, proclamations, or acknowledgements at this time?
No, Mr. Mayor, we do not.
Okay. We're at the consent agenda. Do we have any pulls, deferrals, or deletions from the consent agenda?
I would like to pull number 4
Mr. Mayor.
and 2.
Oh, sorry.
Anyone else?
I would like to pull 3.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor.
Mhm.
I would like to pull number 1.
Okay. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pulled from the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, can we vote on the agenda, the approval of the agenda, please?
Approval of the consent.
Consent agenda. Yeah.
Yes. I need a motion in a second, Mr. Mayor.
Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Bass,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor Irvin. Can we get a Madam Clerk roll call?
Vice Mayor Irvin.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Can we approve tonight's agenda? Motion,
Move it.
moved by Commissioner Williams,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor Irvin. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I do believe that there are some deferrals from the manager's office. Is that still the case?
Yes, Madam Clerk. We would like to defer public hearing items 3 and 4. These items actually employ different types of parking, either mechanical or tandem, that are not yet allowed in our code. So we are requesting a workshop so that we can get feedback from the commission regarding opinions regarding both mechanical, the utilization of mechanical and tandem parking, and bring these projects back.
Okay, so we're deferring items 15-3, 15-4. All right. The motion has been moved and second. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, can I have the approval of, motion for the approval of the minutes for commission meeting February 22nd, 2023?
Move it.
Move,
Second.
moved by Commissioner Kelly, second by Commissioner Bass. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, can I have the approval of the minutes from regular commission meeting, March 8th, 2023?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Bass. Vice Mayor Irvin.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Can I get an approval for the positioning and messaging workshop for March 10th, 2023?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly, second by Commissioner Bass. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Vice Mayor Irvin.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any District 1 or District 2 reports?
No, Mr. Mayor, not at this time.
Okay, do we have any public presentations? I do see we have one. Can you go ahead and introduce the presenter, please?
Yes, so we do have a presentation from the Sikh Foundation founder and executive director, Anika S. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. My apologies. With regards to their work to provide equitable access to STEM education.
Madam Director, you have the floor.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'll try this again. Good evening, everyone.
Good
evening.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started. It is Anike Sakariawo. And I know it's okay. I'm not going to take up time to go over that name, but we'll talk about it later. And so I am here to talk about Seek Foundation, which is a nonprofit, and it stands for Seeking Education Empowers Knowledge. And we teaches children ages 5 through 18 how to build STEM products through after school programming. And what that looks like, it looks like anything that's related to practical skills in the real world, whether it's making lip balm, making viscosity, learning about chemical and formula changes, in addition to learning how to build your own robot, go to competitions, how to build skateboards, how to do drones, how to make mobile AC units. And so these are some of the things that we have made. In addition to some of the things that we have made, we also operate out of Atlanta, and we also operate now in DC. So I would like to showcase a video of some of the things that we have done last year to give you all a visual of what we have accomplished and some of the things that we plan to accomplish in the future.
Steady cost, man. Another banda.
All right, so I hope you all enjoyed the video. That's just the gist of what we have to offer the kids. And these are some of the experiences that we want to bring to Opa-locka, which is a place that I grew up in. I went to Bunch Park Elementary, which is now Miami Gardens, in addition to North Dade Middle and then Carroll City High School. So I do know the area because I grew up here. And hopefully the goal is to make the space that my dad passed down to me, to turn it into a steam maker space that's right over on Opa-locka Boulevard. And so again, the goal is to bring those skills to the kids in this neighborhood, not just in Miami Gardens or in Atlanta, different areas in Atlanta or over town, but more so to make a space where not even just the kids, the parents can come to learn those specific skills. So we also have what we started with the architect, which is Anson Stewart. He is the architect to kind of scope out what we would like to do for the building. So if you want to see like the process where we are on what we're trying to do, and then of course, we would like to know the steps that we would need to take so that we can all work together to create a space for the kids and parents where they can have a local place to come and use these STEM skills to make money for whether they want to do their own t-shirt company, if they want to learn about AI, if they want to learn about cybersecurity, we'll have a space for them to come and learn those specific skills. So I'm going to turn it over really quickly because I can talk and I love to talk, but I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Anson Stewart.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. As Anike said, my name is Anson Stewart. I am founder and principal of Stewart Architecture LLC, and she has entrusted us with developing this project for her. It's an existing one-story facility right now, 760 Opa-locka Boulevard. We're designing a two-story structure within the zoning compliance of approximately 2,500 square feet total. So as she indicated, we'll be reaching out to the city staff in terms of the building department to do some cursory reviews with building, fire, and zoning, obviously, before we advance the plans too far. But that's where we currently are right now. Do they have it? Do they have it? Do you have it up? Yeah, I do. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a view of the existing building. You can go to the next slide. And then this is a survey. You can go to the next. This is some existing pictures showing the existing structure. You can go to the next slide. And I think what he's handing out, you can have in your packet as well. This is just a floor plan showing the first and second floors, showing a real modern open concept to the layout. You can go to the next slide. And then just a site plan, we're basically extending the existing footprint of the existing building to maximize the site. You can go to the next slide.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I just want to put on the record that this is in no way a presentation to you all for your consideration. He's
Exactly.
just showing the
Yes.
document. Okay, thank you.
Exactly.
I just
No,
want
by
you
no
to be
means
careful
we're-
about commenting on it. That's all. Thank you.
We're no means presenting this for approval. This is just showing what the ceiling will look like. You can go to the next slide. And then these are just some preliminary studies of what the elevations will look like, but obviously we'll work with the city staff and zoning department to finalize those. You can go to the next slide. And that's it. Yeah. Thank you.
That's it.
You want to wrap it up?
Okay. Alrighty. I will say that I am very familiar with the Seek Foundation and the work that you did with Formula One last year and the work that you do in the city of Miami Gardens. But I will say, at least you found your way back home to the great city of Opa-locka and bringing us a different caliber of programming to our students and our children. Is there anyone else that would like to,
Yes.
Commissioner Beth?
Thank you. Not having time to really read your presentation. My question is, will this only be, or is it just after school program, or is it going to be a school per se?
So it's not going to be a school, more so of a community center, because I had the opportunity to open schools on a few occasions, but I felt that it would be more accessible where people don't have so many restrictions to come and learn specific skills related to STEM. So it would be a building where adults can come in a certain time when kids are not in the space, because, you know, when kids are around, it would allow where they would need to have a level 2 backgrounding. And then we will have kids operate out of the space for a certain time period. So it'll be a space that's inclusive of adults and kids.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Williams?
so first, thank you for the Afro beats in the video.
Welcome.
Second-
Background.
Second, I know know the Seek Foundation very well and the work that you do. I don't even need to read anything about all the work, the great work that we were actually on the panel together about 2 years ago. But so this is awesome. Like I said, I know the work that you do. So I'm excited. And I know that, you specifically a lot of the schools in the area, outside of the area. I am amazed at how far I remember the start of Seek and how far it has expanded and grown. So kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
And just keep up the great work. But this in Opa-locka is a game changer for me. So thank you.
And I feel I know I only have 5 minutes, but I feel like it's something that we need because I was a teacher for 15 years and, just trying to get kids to go to a robotics program or get one at the school. And this was when I was teaching at Northern the last 7 years. It was like pulling teeth. So I had to come up with something outside of teaching, which is how the nonprofit was started because there were so many restrictions while you're in the school system. So how can we get these specific skills to kids, even for those who don't want to build a robot? You can do cosmetic. It's still $1 billion industry. So how can we get them specific skills that are practical skills so that they can move into a genre that will give them the money that they need, even if they decide not to go to college, because we all are different. And one thing is not to say is good for the next person. So my goal until my time is up, education, making sure that children, minority, especially Black children, they are and will have access to quality STEM, not just STEM in theory, but STEM in the practical world. That's all I got. Thank you so much.
And I will say before we move on, happy anniversary. I believe this is your 10th year. So happy anniversary.
We have tickets on sale. Tomorrow is the event, so you can still come, okay?
Happy anniversary. So Madam Clerk, we're going to move on to our citizens forum. Can you please read into record?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. City of Opa-locka Commission meetings are held in person at the Opa-locka Municipal Complex, City Commission Chambers, 780 Fisherman Street, 3rd floor, Opa-locka, Florida. Members of the public wishing to address the commission may do so in person or virtually. Those persons wishing to participate virtually should register prior to the scheduled meeting time on the city's website at www.opalockafl.gov. When speaking before the commission, please make sure to give your full name and address for the record. There is a 3-minute time limit for public comments. Please adhere to the decorum policy, which is part of the commission meeting agenda. City commission meetings are aired through live stream at www.youtube.com/user/City of Opa-locka. At this time, Mr. Mayor, there are no virtual public comments.
Okay. Citizens forum is open.
I want to wait till he gives out.
Okay, Audrey Dominguez, 1147 Jan Avenue. I just wanted you to look at this information. It comes from Miami-Dade County. And it's a service for elderly. As you may know, may not know, we have a couple of seniors on the move that have been hospitalized or even in rehab centers. However, they have no assistance whatsoever. Now, I would like to yield my time to Ms. Christina Banks so she can explain how we can incorporate with seniors on the move with this program, because this is offered through Miami-Dade County, and we need to take advantage and maybe see how we can incorporate them to assist residents that don't have any help, especially after they come out of a hospital and they're a lot older and they need assistance.
Good evening to the commission and the mayor today, tonight, and all the staff also. It's good to see you all again on good terms right now. I want to talk to you about something and I'd like to bring it to your
Can
attention.
you state your name?
I'm sorry, Christina
Address.
Banks, 2470 Northwest 140th Street, Opa-locka.
Yes,
I wanted to bring it to your attention. Not to thrust it on you, but to bring it to your attention that we have had quite a few seniors that have actually gone into the hospital, come out of the hospital with no assistance whatsoever, nothing at all. Some of them, at least two of them that I know, don't have anyone at all to assist them in any way at all. And I've been helping them. For some reason, they seem to call me and like I have to tell them, I no longer work for the city of Opa-locka. The seniors program, kudos to Commissioner Kelly, has been in existence quite some time. But it's time to take that program to another level, and you all can do it. With the assistance of your city manager and your city attorney, there is a way using that you have there. It's no cost. You can incorporate it in so that way the seniors that we have, and I don't know if you even know right now currently that we do have another one that's in the hospital right now. As we know, in the world that we live in right now, things are changing as fast as every day. And our senior citizens that have actually been in this community for some time now need a little help. It could be your mother, your father, any of us, okay? They need a little help. I'm no longer a part of the city of Opa-locka's staff any longer, but I still do what I do from a ministry level. And a lot of them need help. And just to give you one example, if one of them in particularly, whether they're getting subsidizing to get food and your seniors program has initiated going to Walmart for that particular day. And as long as they have a doctor's note indicating that they have actually been cleared to come back to the city to participate in the Seniors on the Move program, then they may be allowed to go to Walmart to pick up groceries for themselves since they have nobody else to help them. They have no transportation, so they need to have access to picking up medications, to also getting food, to take care of themselves. Some of them have not been able to even do anything, not even take a bath. You all are our commissioners for the city of Opa-locka and our mayor. And I know that you're busy. No one knows better than I do, okay? Being a fellow employee, I know that you all are busy. I know that you have a great deal of things going on for the city and still trying to maintain the city and take us to the next level. But right now, that program needs to be reevaluated. I'm simply here to tell you to take a look at it. All of you, take a look at it, reevaluate it. Because these seniors that are a part of you all here, I hate to go here, but when we get ready to get a vote, we look them up. And seniors have voting power. They do vote. So take a few minutes, reevaluate the system. If we can do this, and it's possible, and if you have this with you now, you can see that it's at no cost to us. It's free. They come out and they help them. Once they come out of the hospital, they're there. I have one that I actually had to sit there because she was afraid. She didn't want to be alone. Her therapist had to come in. Her nurse had to come in. And there was nobody with her at all to do anything. Cooking, cleaning, bathing. I don't expect the commission to do this, nor your staff, but I do expect you, as those of you that have taken the oath for this community, to look into this matter, because you can create any kind of legislation that you want. You can, as long as you all are in unity about doing it. So I'm asking you, I'm pleading, because I can't be with every one of them. And believe it or not, I'm the one they call. So I'm asking you to take a look at that system. Commissioner Kelly is very familiar with that program. He is. Take a look at it, reevaluate it, so that it will also accompany them also when they need assistance. Because right now we have some that are hurting. I don't know if you're aware, like I said, there's one we have right now that's in the hospital now. She was admitted with a stroke. When they come out and they don't have anybody, so who do they turn to? Who can help them? If there's no ministry there to help them, then they die. And I don't want to go there because we've had some of them that have actually passed while I was an employee with the city and we did nothing. So I'm pleading with you. I'm not asking for Ms. Banks to be over it. I'm not asking for anything to be given to Ms. Banks. I'm simply asking as a resident and a taxpayer of the city of Opa-locka for my commission and my mayor to look into it and determine whether there's something you can do to add that in there for them, to assist them. I know that it may be some legalities there. I know that also when they go out and they have strokes and they come back into the program, that they have to the city has to make sure that they are ready and they have a doctor's appointment to make sure that they're capable of coming back. But if they can come back and they say they just need to go to Walmart to pick up food, then we need to assist them in some kind of way. They are residents of this city, you know that? So please take a few minutes of your time and just consider it. Don't consider Ms. Banks. Don't look at Ms. Banks. Look at our residents because they're the ones that need you all. They're the ones that talk to me about you all. Each of you they talk to me about. So take a few minutes, okay? I thank y'all for the time you give me.
Yes, ma'am.
Please do that for me, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Citizens Forum is still open.
Good evening, Mayor Taylor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Clerk, Attorney, and City Manager. My name is Eloy Romo. I own Romo's Pizza, 13300 Northwest 42nd Avenue. Been in the city for a little bit under 40 years in multiple business. This particular business, I've been there for 17 years. The reason that I'm here is to present. I understand that you have a color code for compliance for the residents and building. I know that, and you all know that commercial should have a little flexibility in the color scheme. It's a suggestion as this is exposed. I have, for example, a picture here of our building. I don't know if you can see it clearly, or maybe I can bring it over so they can zoom it in. This color is being used in multiple businesses. I drove around the city and it's appealing for commercial. I understand that residential has, and you have a color scheme for residential structure, and I respect that, which are pastel colors. Pretty sure you're familiar with it. And I would just like to get an approval on, like I said, have a little flexibility on the commercial side. And, it's enhancing the city. It's not putting the city down. Romo's Pizza, like I said, is a respectful restaurant that a lot of you all know. I know that you visited in the past and recently. And I would like to leave tonight with an approval for the color scheme, if possible.
Okay, Mr. Ramos, we can't give you the approval tonight for the color scheme, but what we'll do is we'll get you in contact with our manager and our planning department so that you all can come together
Very
and do
well,
it that way.
very well. I thank you for
No
taking
problem,
the
Mr.
time to taking it in consideration.
Yes, sir.
And I have it on file just in case that you need to look at a closer,
Yes, sir.
the picture itself.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you very much. You
And
have
one
a
of our
great
managers,
evening.
they'll meet you right on the end over there to help you with that issue. Citizens Forum is still open. Citizens Forum is closed. As it relates to Citizens Forum, Ms. Bank. 1 second, Commissioner.
Mayor.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Ms. Banks, you have my word that I will call in the morning about this program. And I'm familiar with the program and it's a great program. And you have my word, and I will call them and then call you with the follow-up to let you know what was discussed once we do that. Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Kelly?
Yes, and in that same vein, Mr. Mayor, to the attorney, because it's going to require legislation. So we'll definitely be getting with you. I'm quite sure all of us want to sponsor it to make it happen in the city. So I'll definitely be getting with you on the legislative side that we can adopt it, and incorporate it into our seniors program. I also, Mr. Mayor, I know he left, but if we can get a copy of the information he just said he's going to leave regarding that color or whatever.
From
From
Mr.
the
Romo.
city manager. And get it, whatever specifically that is, so that we would know. I appreciate it as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. We're
Mr.
getting
Mayor,
ready. Oh, go ahead, Vice Mayor.
excuse me, being a business owner here and talking a lot with business owners, I think that we're gonna at some point have to sit down and come up with a business color chart,
Okay,
because this is the second person I've talked to in the last 10 days that's trying to paint their building and they don't want the pastel colors because it does nothing to enhance the building.
Okay.
So,
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
No problem. As we're getting ready to move on to our action items. Madam Attorney, 13-1.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, establishing a local financial oversight board to assist the City of Opa-locka, Florida in its financial recovery efforts, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Mayor Taylor.
Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor. I introduced the item because it is my item. This legislation was proffered on tonight as a direct response to the financial oversights of the city of Opa-locka. When we went to the state, the one thing that our legislators that represent us in Tallahassee said, when it comes down to transparency and communication, they are unaware of what's going on in the city of Opa-locka. So what we did in that meeting, we said, you know what we're gonna do is establish a board. And what I did was I asked each one of them to put a person on that, a representative on that board, so that there is direct communication from the city of Opa-locka to, for example, our state senator, which is Chevron Jones, our state representative, which is Ashley Gant. And we also went a step further to include our county commissioner, Oliver Gilbert, as well as Marlene Bastien. And also on that board, we're going to add residents to that board so that everybody is aware of what's going on in the city and where we're going. So we have that level of transparency in the city of Opa-locka. We have reached out to everyone that we requested representation from, and they have all agreed. They have all agreed to sit on this board if this legislation is to pass, because I just want to make sure that our state and residents know what we are doing on the local level. That way we're all working in tandem together so that we can move this city forward together. And I believe this item was pulled, so we're going to open it up for discussion or any questions to the sponsor.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Williams.
just a few questions. I did reach out to specifically the representative and the senator. And you're correct. One of the things that were mentioned, especially that I was told specifically in Tallahassee, is that transparency. So that right there, transparency to our state and local commissioners that represent us. I think so a few things. We also have a state financial oversight board. So we're saying we're going to have a state financial oversight board and also a local financial oversight board to ensure that there's transparency, mainly for our state reps and senators, which I'm 100% agreeing, but I think the issue, I want to say issue, the questions that I have is, so what are the decisions? I think what I'm not seeing in the legislation is it just for transparency that they need to know what we're doing? And could that have looked in terms of having a monthly, quarterly meeting with staff in terms of our state and local representation? If there's no decisions being made, because we know they can't make decisions because that clearly comes from our state financial oversight board. The issue that gives me a little pause, are they providing suggestions to the city? Are they providing suggestions to the state oversight board? And is there a conflict? Have we looked to see if there's a conflict with our state board by having a second board? And is there some type of connection? Because the only wording that I'm seeing is replicating. So it is so wide open. It's a board to replicate what the state does already. I don't know what what is that? What does that look like? So I wish there were a few more teeth inside of the legislation to let me know what that, and that word is used a few times, replicate some of the duties. Replicate some of the duties. Well, what does that mean? I don't know if that's a friendly amendment. I don't know, but that language is a little too open. And I think we need to just don't say it.
I don't mind explaining. And the interesting part about this legislation was not my idea. The people that you see on this board actually asked me to bring forth this legislation. We have been under financial oversight since 2017, and there has been a disconnect from that state board that you mentioned to our officials that represent us in the state. So what we're doing is keeping our residents as well as our representatives abreast of what we're doing on the local level. So no, there is no conflict. And the reason why you said replicate some of the duties, because this board has no voting power. They just want to be able to defend us with knowing what's going on the local level. So that's why they proffered this board. So this is the way of them being transparent. We know that the manager is going to do this on this time. We know that whatever we're doing on the local level will be communicated with them. That way, when they go before the state oversight board to represent us and defend us, they can stay with assurance. I know what the city is doing because I spoke. We had a meeting. We know what's going on the local level, because as you know, within the JLAC meeting that we had a couple months ago, the one thing that was said was, we don't know what's going on the local level. And then when we called our local officials, they too said, we can't defend you because we don't know what's going on the local level. So when we sat in that meeting, they said, put together a board of all of our offices and some residents that we can all communicate with each other, and we can take that information back to the state to defend the city of Opa-locka.
You're correct. Mr. Mayor, no. And again, I totally agree. I spoke with, the players here, and that's true. I think like I said, what gave me a little pause is the replication of some of the duties. So, so you explained it. I understand what you're saying. It's that wording right there that just kind of like, what does that look like? And just, wanted to, spell out, like I said, that is exactly correct. What everyone, specifically from Tallahassee on down, has said is that that we're not transparent enough. And I just want us to be clear that if we're going to create another board, we know we just had issues with a previous board, and just to make sure that we spell out a little bit more their duties. But if the goal is, to be transparent for everyone to know what's going on, then I'm okay.
And that's exactly what this board is, just in the spirit of transparency. Is there any other concerns on this legislation?
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Bath?
Yes, thank you so much. In the backup documents, it states that Mayor and Commission that we will be appointing 3 residents.
Mhm.
Okay, I agree with that, but I would like to make a friendly amendment if possible, where we also include and or business partners because they are stakeholders. One business owner
Okay,
to be a part of this board.
okay. Madam Attorney? So what Commissioner Bass is saying, because the businesses are a part of this community, that we stay not just 3 residents, but instead of 3 residents, 2 residents and a business owner.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, what the language says right now, so you'll just have to decide whether you want that business owner to have the same qualifications. So for the city residents that you're appointing, they would be residents who have a professional experience and background and understanding of budgeting or finance or accounting or preparation of financial reports is what it says. So if we changed it to, and I'm looking under section 2 of the resolution. So if we changed it to the city commission appointees who shall be residents or a
And-
business owner, and then the rest of the language as it is. Is that basically what you're saying? Okay.
I didn't make the amendment, so,
Yes, please.
Okay.
okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
I have 2 concerns that I want to address, and it seems to be somewhat of the norm. I have nothing against education. I have nothing against professionalism, but I never like to see residents who have professional experience, so forth and so on, because there are a lot of smart people that may not have a degree, but they know what's going on and they've been impacted by the city. So I never like to see that wording specifically. Now, if someone has the credentials, that's fine, but you're eliminating a good number of people who may be not only well able to sit, who've been impacted by the financial oversight for the last how many ever years, but you're basically excluding them. That's number 1. Number 2, I had the same concern with the business owner. And if I'm understanding the attorney correctly, she's just basically saying, instead of having 3 residents, you could substitute, just have a business owner as a part of those 3. Is that what I'm hearing, Mr. Mayor, to the attorney?
I believe, to the person that sponsored the friendly amendment, that's
Can't
what
hear
you're
you.
saying? I said, I'm gonna yield to the person that sponsored this friendly amendment, that's what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes, that's what she's saying.
Okay. Okay, I don't probably the business owner, but I don't necessarily care for the wording of a residence and have professional experience, background and understanding, because I'm not sure folks that have that expertise, while they may have it, will have time to serve on this board and meet all of the time that may be needed to meet with some of the things that you're outlining of preparation and as you said, or has been stated, replicating some of the duties that are ongoing. The second thing I would suggest, instead of it sunsetting at 3 months, that it's sunset maybe at 5, a little longer, just to make sure everything is on point and intact before it sunset. Those are the 2 things I have concern with. And one, in terms of the friendly amendment from 3 to 5 months, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so, Madam Attorney, the 3-month sunset, Commissioner Kelly wants to move it to 5 months. And where it says professional experience, background, and understanding of budget or finance accounting, you want to, what are you proposing? That we remove that altogether?
In terms of the wording, the language, who shall be resident of the city, preferably, you could say that, but don't just say and have, because now you automatically eliminate, like I said, some residents who have just good common sense who might be very valuable on this board. Because remember now, citizens for the most part are the ones that have been impacted by this financial emergency. So obviously they want to see us get out of it. I understand the need for wanting people with backgrounds of budgeting or finance, but I'm also concerned, as we've seen in the past, a lot of times when you have folks like that on boards, it's very challenging with their time. So if you could just change that wording. Obviously, the commission is still going to have to appoint these folks. So I'm quite sure we'll do due diligence. I just want to leave anyone out who may want to serve and feel like they don't have quote unquote professional experience, because that could get into a whole nother discussion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor.
wait, one second.
Mhm.
So, Madam Attorney, did you take notes of what?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So adding that word preferably there is what you're
Just the
saying.
word preferably, because it's going to come out of the commission. I just want to leave people out, any resident out who may, want to serve.
Okay, and Commissioner Williams?
Yes, thank you. Through the mayor to the manager, my question, when we come out of state oversight, will the state oversight board sunset?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm just, and this is just throwing this out. Why don't it sunset at the same time as the state oversight board? Why, go prolong that? If the state is going to sunset, why not make it sunset at the same time? But that's just my suggestion.
Well, I'll say, Madam Commissioner, the reason why I wanted it to continue on so that we make sure that we're not back where we were before. And we still have our, even though the state itself will be gone, but our state legislators will still be here. I would rather we extend it past what they're doing so that they know, like, we're serious. We don't want to go back.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is then why not go back and revamp that board in terms of having a continuous board, like we have all our other boards, a continuous board. I don't know. I mean, we're talking about state legislators that come and go in terms of, voting, or, who gets voted in and who gets voted out. If, so I'm only saying, let's revamp that board the minute it sunsets. If it sunsets at the top, let it sunset at the bottom as well. And then we take a look at how that board, we continue the board, but take a look at how that board looked. That's just my suggestion. And my next question is, if there's 3 members, does that mean we vote? Since there's 5 of us, does that we vote at large for the members?
So the appointment will be made, not the appointment will be made, the name will be proffered and the commission will agree.
Got it. Okay. That was one. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Kelly?
Yes, I totally agree that we need to go beyond the sunset of the state oversight. I was even, that's why I said 5 months, to make sure that we are in compliance, and the state and senator office and most of those who are we're appointing will still be in office, preferably, hopefully, when we get out. But we definitely need to extend it past the time of the sunset of the state. So I like that deal. We could revisit it, but definitely don't sunset it with it. Yeah, you know what? I withdraw my request for the amendment and keep it at 3 months. Keep it at 3 months.
Okay. Okay. So we're gonna call the question. We're ready to vote. Madam Attorney, we have a couple amendments on the this agenda. One is to add the business owner in place of one of the residents. Also to make it the qualifications a little broader to make it a little broader, but Madam Commissioner Williams, I would like to go past the sunset of the state, me personally, because I want to make sure that the city I want us to make sure that we are dress right, dress.
Oh, no,
All
I
I's
get it.
crossed, all T's crossed, all I's dotted. So if we're all in agreement, Madam Attorney, so can we need to vote on the amendment?
Yes,
Those was
sir.
moved in second.
And when you said you wanted to go, I don't know whether is there consensus to how far would you like to go? If-
We're gonna keep it at 3 months. Commissioner
Okay.
Kelly pulled his
Okay.
amendment.
So,
So-
yes, you stated the changes correctly.
Okay, so do we need to vote on the amendment after it's already been moved in second for the item?
You will vote on the amendment now, and then you'll
Okay.
go back and vote on the main.
No
item.
problem. All right, so can I get a motion?
Move it.
Move it. A
Second.
second? Commissioner Bash, you cannot move it and second.
Second,
Second by Commissioner Kelly. Madam Clerk, roll call.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
Commissioner Bass.
Okay. Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes,
Motion passes on the amendment.
okay, Madam Clerk, we're gonna call the question. Go
Commi-
ahead.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
thank you. Next item, 13-2.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, directing the interim city manager to establish and implement a program for the creation, compilation, review, and implementation of both departmental operating procedures and citywide standard operating procedures to address all aspects of city operations, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Mayor Taylor.
Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams,
Second,
second by
Kelly.
Commissioner Kelly. Okay, so I'll reintroduce this item again because it's also my item. As this legislation is to, as what it says, direct the city manager to create policies and procedures citywide and also create policies and procedures for per department. Just some history. The city of Opa-locka, the Legislative Auditing Committee, February 23rd, directed an audit to be done on the city of Opa-locka. June 2019, they presented 99 findings to the city, 84 which was related to the city, 15 related to the CRA. And if you read the 99 findings and the responses to the bulk of the 99 findings, you will find where it states, and I quote, "We recommend that the city establishes policies and procedures." And if you read, and that's on the bulk of the 99 findings, you will find that term. We recommend that the city establishes policies and procedures. And again, in that same meeting in the state of Florida, they stressed and recommended, like they said in 2019, we recommend that the city establishes policies and procedures. So that's why you see this legislation here tonight. And I'm sorry, a lot of the 99 findings that have not been addressed also have been partially addressed, also mention that term, we recommend that the city establishes policies and procedures. So I just want to make sure that the city is doing its part and doing what the state recommended in order for us to get out of financial oversight. And y'all know I love saying this, we cannot keep kicking this can down the road. It is time now, and we all know what the state said. We got to the end of the year, till the end of the year, or no, because you pulled this, I want to explain it, or else. So, Madam, so we open up the floor for discussion.
Thank you.
I just wanted to stress it.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
we definitely got the point. And I totally agree with you 100%. And also thank you for bringing this legislation forward. If you recall, when we had the when you got back from Tallahassee, we had the financial oversight meeting, I called in and it was about the policies and procedures. So exactly something that I know that, you know, starting from my term all the way that, you know, having these conversations about, I just wanted to make a quick friendly amendment. You don't seem like my amendments, but I'm gonna make, I don't know if you know how super heavy and difficult it is to create policies and procedures. The legislation says an entire departmental citywide in 90 days. I've sat on committees that have done that before, and it is a load. So and I'm just saying, and I know in our minds, we think it can happen overnight. Most companies and organizations actually hire consultants to do this. So what we've asked is for the manager to do it in 90 days for every single department. My friendly amendment is that it's rolled out department at a time, every 90 days, every 60 days, to allow them to work on. Because what happens is you have to find at the crux of the department those systemic pluses and minuses so that you can pull out and push in. And so I'm just saying to say every single department is a lot. So I'm just, that's my friendly amendment. If we can give them time, 60, I said every 90 because it's not easy. So, and then some departments will take a lot more work because of systemic issues. I keep using that word again, that those departments have had. So it does need to roll out. So that's why that was my friendly amendment, to allow the manager's office to roll out department at a time every 90 days or 60 days or whatever is feasible for the board.
Oh, okay, so now I'm not opposed to extending it, but I will say this, that we've been under financial oversight since 2017. And a lot of this work has said to have already been done. So I'm proposing, all I want to see is in a book, in a binder that we can present. So I will, but I don't want to extend it too long where it gets lost. It gets lost. And we know, like you said, that's a systemic issue.
Mr. Mayor, I agree with you. I totally wholeheartedly agree. I'm just saying you're right. And now remember, we're talking about, a different manager, different management, new employees.
Not faulting him at all.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
of course.
so I
No,
just
we're
want to
not.
say for the record, I'm not faulting him at all.
I'm only saying, since we've put a lot like in this, we've said a lot of, Mr. Manager, I need this in 90 days. Mr. Manager, I want that in 90 days or this in 60 days. I'm almost sure we asked Ms. Flores to give us a list of all the things that we put, so this is a beast. And I just really want to implore you all to really understand and maybe have a conversation with the outside agency that understands policies and procedures. I know for us, it seems like it's like a pamphlet, but it's not. So that's all I'm saying. Let's try to roll it out in pieces as opposed to an entire city in 90 days.
So what are you proposing?
So I was proposing either, department at a time, every two departments every 90 days. I'm, giving some suggestions. I can, if you don't mind, I know it's your legislation, if I can we speak with the manager? Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Manager, there's 12 departments in the city, right?
That's correct.
So if we did it. Okay. I'm gonna say this, Mr. Manager, Madam.
So if it gives you,
Go ahead,
Mr.
go ahead.
Mayor, if it gives you any comfort, I have had this conversation with the state, and I had originally told them to expect the policies and procedures for the city to be completed by January of 2024. And Mr. Hunter actually said, well, I know where the city is when it comes to their policies and procedures. Let's agree upon June of 2024. So that would also put us on track. That would be simultaneously the time that we will be submitting our first timely audit, which is actually the first step for us to get out of financial oversight.
Again,
Mr. Mayor.
go ahead, Commissioner Kelly. Oh, is it
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry.
Let's not mix apples and oranges. All that has nothing to do with this legislation. I'm totally in support of policy procedures. I don't want to, and you got my statement. I say quite often, kick this can on the road. We know that many of the findings that you're referencing and the 99 findings are really relegated to several areas or departments. So if you do decide to break them down, those need to be first. And I will say this, when you take on the job, you know what it entails. So you just gotta do the work, plain and simple. If it needs more than that, you come back to the commission and request what you need to get done. Because, you know, we've heard about policy procedures getting done for a while now, and it needs to take place. So I don't want to do one for 30 days, 60 days. I want to focus first on those that directly affect the 99 findings to make sure those get done, because as you mentioned, they are referenced quite often in various ways about policies and procedures that have not been done or have done that relate to certain areas. So I support the legislation. The only thing, if you are going to segue it out and not require all to be done within the 90 days, that those that directly impact the financial oversight and getting out of financial emergency take place immediately or quickly within the 90 days. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Kelly, and that's exactly what I was gonna say. Mr. Manager, I understand what Commissioner Williams is saying, but I would rather keep the legislation as is and you present in 90 days what is directly affected and then ask for an extension. And then that way we already know that we got something in place. But waiting a year, we gotta move it.
Mr. Mayor,
We gotta move it.
Mr. Mayor.
1 second, Commissioner Williams, and as far as Commissioner Kelly's, what Commissioner Kelly's point was, to Commissioner Kelly's point, we already have to respond with those policies anyway. So that means some of them are already done. A lot of the work is already done for those departments that were targeted in the 99 findings. So I'm proposing that you submit what you can based on what's directly affected by financial oversight, and then bring that to the commission and then ask for an extension for everything else. I'm sorry, Commissioner Williams, you had something to say?
Yeah, I'm just going to say, I have a motto. I'd rather do one thing great than a lot of things good. And so, you know, by saying do this, and I know for a fact that this is a heavy load. And of course, it's what you sign up for. But again, most organizations bring in consultants to do this. So unless, you know, I guess in 90 days, you know, if the manager needs help or needs, you know, these are policies. This isn't a pamphlet. This is a book, a manual, and a manual does not take, I mean, you cannot do that in 90 days, but I understand you all think that it can. So if we go back, that's fine. If you want to keep it that way, I'm just going to say what I know to be exact is this. I'd rather something is great or instead of a lot of things good. And right now, this is just going to be good work. So thank you.
And
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
let's just put it open. Mr. Mayor, to the manager. Mr. Manager, can you get policy procedures done through your own staff, or do you need outside help?
We certainly need outside help, particularly with this timeline.
Okay, well, then you should just say you need outside help because we want it done. So if you have a staff, whether it's 90 days and we say on the wait till 2024, there's your answer, Mr. Mayor. He can't do it with the staff he has. So even though we're asking him to do it, he's telling you he can't do it with the staff he has. So if that's the case, it's your legislation, Mr. Mayor. So if you want to break it down as suggested with the items that fit the oversight and have them focus on those for the policy procedures and come back in the 90 days. But he's telling you in advance he can't do the whole thing with the current staff. So I still prefer they focus on the ones that impact the 99 findings and do those and bring it back. I agree, you don't want to do anything half-heartedly, but as you indicated, most of these have been done or are being done according to the update we've been given. So I think they're much more doable to address the 99 findings first. But you heard his answer. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So, Mr. Manager, can we do what's affected by, in 90 days, what is affected by the, I believe, which is the finance department, and there was another department in there. You got something in there about, the police was in there. If I'm not mistaken, finance department, and I believe, no, HR. I believe HR, and a couple of things that, what's them other people? The cleaners? Oh, Jesus Christ, my brain. Public Works, thank you. So can we focus on what is, like Commissioner Kelly said, what is needed at this moment to get us on the financial oversight? And I know the bulk of it was the finance department. Can we do that in 90 days and then you come back for an extension? Is that feasible for you?
We'll have to do it. We'll have to do it.
Okay, and Madam Attorney, can you also add in this legislation that the option of hiring a consultant?
That consultant would need to be procured. So you'll have to, unless it's under the manager's authority, and you all, but do you want, like, when you add that, are you contemplating legislation coming back as to a consultant?
If needed, if
Okay.
needed, we'll bring back legislation to hire a consultant if it's not under the manager's purview. So is that okay? That's perfect with everybody? Okay.
And let me just put on the record, that should not be a law firm. That should be a consulting firm that does that work, because he doesn't have the authority to hire a law firm.
Thank, Madam Attorney. Okay, thank you. So adding the legislation of a consultant and then with the option of bringing it back if it goes over the manager's 25,000. So that's the amendment. Okay, so any other discussion on this item?
All of my questions were answered.
All right, so we're gonna vote on the amendment first. Madam Attorney, do you want to read that in the record so we can make sure that we have it right, or you have it? Okay, so can I get a motion?
Move it.
Okay, we'll move by Commissioner Kelly, second by Commissioner Williams. So this is the vote on the amendment to add a consultant and bring it back if necessary. Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
motion passes on the amendment.
Okay, now can we vote on the item itself? Can I get a motion?
I have a motion in a second, Mr. Mayor.
You already, you do, you really do.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Madam Clerk. Roll call.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
motion passes 5-0.
Okay, Madam Attorney, 13-3.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, directing the interim city manager to prohibit city staff from spending personal funds for city business related matters, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Mayor Taylor.
Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bass. This item is pretty simple. We want to stop our employees from spending their personal money for city business. We want to, so that's what we're doing. That's what this legislation is for. It was pulled, so we're gonna open it for discussion.
I pulled this because excuse me, I've volunteered and done work here around here in the city. And there's times that you need something right now and you need it. But if we pass this tonight, that means it's going to go in effect ASAP. I think that we need to give the city manager a little time to come up with the policy for this, because if we pass it tonight and they need something, they're not gonna be able to get it until they go through oversight and all that stuff. So I think we need to give him time to get a policy or get a plan in place for this.
Okay, Madam Vice Mayor, two things have happened. We have been in conversation with the state to actually to create a policy where we have a card on file in both the manager's office as well as the clerk's office for those emergency expenditures, if you will, with a limit, and has to be, what did you say, Mr. Manager, that approved prior to this expenditure. So we're already in works with that, but so that's where we are with that.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I think the vice mayor was reading my notes. That's exactly what I wrote. And I believe, and I totally agree. I have waited, I don't know, a long time to get reimbursed from my own day job for things. So, and it's not easy. It's not easy when you have to up your money and then get reimbursed. However, if we're going to have the card, can we wait for that card? Like, if it's going to happen, can we make that happen and then move forward with the legislation? Because right now there's really, once it stops, and a lot of people will not get stuff, that need stuff like right now. Thank God, Madam Clerk went and bought frames, but that had always been an issue with proclamations and, and frames running out and not having frames, and she had to spend her money. But we need something, there needs to be a policy after this is passed. What's the next? And I don't see the next here.
Okay, now this part I was not going to say, but I think I have to. Number one, the commission cannot direct any employee to spend their money. And what was stated is what they heard, that a commissioner was directing employees to spend their money. We're trying to eliminate that. The only person that a commissioner that sits on this dais can direct is the manager, the clerk, and the attorney. The only person in this city that can spend money is the city manager. So if the commission is saying that the clerk is buying stuff for them, that is completely out of order. And that's what this legislation is doing, writing what they say is wrong. So and remember now, our charter tells us what we can and cannot do. And we cannot do that. We cannot tell the clerk to swipe her card for something for us. That's why we have a discretionary fund of $200 on a reimbursement. So if there is something that is needed by this commission, you swipe your card, you submit the receipt, and you wait for your reimbursement. We cannot tell the clerk, Madam Clerk, hey, I need you to buy this for me, and you get the reimbursement. You get the reimbursement. We can't do that. We can't do that. And that's what is being said.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Mayor?
that is.
And I only
Hold on,
use the
let me-
clerk as an example. and I'm
No,
sorry.
I know, but I want to be clear.
But
I just need to be clear what you
I
said,
wanna-
because that never came out of my mouth.
you said that the clerk bought frames.
No, she's always, and if you know,
I just wanted to make sure,
No.
like, hey, y'all want to know about it.
Mr. Mayor, just
Go ahead.
for the
She had
record.
floor, she had the floor.
Oh,
No, for the record, Madam Clerk, I know you never,
No,
I just use
want
you
her
as an
to say for
example
the
and I
record, because
apologize.
it was stated here, and I'm gonna tell you, the tongue wagging, like that finger, like, let's pause that a little bit. But Madam Clerk, nobody has ever directed you. I know that and you can say for the record.
Again, I said I use the clerk as an example.
I know,
I did not
but
say it was literal, Madam Clerk. I do apologize for using you as an example, and I hope you didn't get offended.
No,
I said
Mr. Mayor,
example.
can I say
Go
something?
ahead, Madam
So,
Clerk.
as Commissioner Williams is stating, none of the elected officials have directed me to purchase
Thank you.
frames or spend my money. I just felt that as a need that the city had at the moment, the only way that I can, make it happen was to spend my money and get reimbursed. But I did not get a directive from any of you all, just for the record. And also, this resolution is not about the clerk. Just to be clear, I'm not the only one in the city that gets reimbursed
My point
and
is that.
spends my money.
Well,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
and I think I still have the floor, Mr. Mayor, but like I was saying before, I know this because I go through this, so I understand. And the last thing we as a dais want to do is have anyone upspend their money and then have to get reimbursed. If anything, if there's things that we need, we should buy them out of our own pocket, turn in our receipts and get reimbursed. And I specifically don't have a problem doing that. I was just saying again, and what is the policy after? So once this is passed, my question is what then? If it is, and I've said it in my agenda briefing, I have absolutely zero problems coming out of my pocket to pay what I need to. And if that's what we're saying that we're going to do, that's not a problem. I just want to know what the problem is. I mean, what the policy is moving forward. That's
Well,
it.
I'll say this. The policy is the policy that stands today that was created by the state of Florida. We submit a requisition once we get the invoice and submit it in advance to receive an expedited check, which goes to the vendor. But I don't think that it's fair that our employees are spending their personal money for city business. And I'm going to continue to say it, but hey, that's just me.
Mr.
Mr.
Mayor.
Mayor.
Go ahead, Commissioner. Vice Mayor Floyd and Commissioner Kelly.
Okay, let me say, and I'm saying this because I've worked on two sides with Opa-locka. We have obviously maybe some unpaid stuff we need to work out. And you mentioned the check. And because most of my volunteer work has been in parks and recreation, I can sit here and tell you that Walmart will not accept a Opa-locka check and Target won't accept the check from Opa-locka. So we either need to get with that company that says no and see what we owe them, so that they can clear up some of our balances so that we can send Parks and Recreation to Walmart with a check to pick up things that they may need, opposed to either the Booster Club or an employee spending money for what's needed at Parks and Rec and then wait for a reimbursement. Like we have Easter coming up. If the Parks and Recreation decided that they're going to go to Walmart with their $1,500 check, Walmart isn't going to accept it.
But
We've been there before.
But we still don't need our use Parks and Recreation. So I'm gonna say it. We still don't need our Parks and Recreation director swiping her card for $1,500 in hopes of getting a refund, a reimbursement from the
I
city.
totally agree. What I'm saying to you, we have to find a comfortable place between them not accepting our checks and how we're going to get the supplies and stuff that we need.
It is not the employee's responsibility.
I agree with
to
you,
take
Mr.
up the
Mayor.
stead
I
of the city
agree
of
with you.
Opa-locka.
I agree with you. What I'm saying is we have to find a happy medium so that they can, if it's going to be a credit card, then we need to get it applied for and in our possession, and then we can make this possible.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr.
to say
Mayor.
what I said. It is.
I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Kelly. You have
Thank
the
you.
floor.
I think this legislation pushes us in the direction where we need to go, because all of the points that have been made are valid points. But I want to refer to page 71 in the agenda cover memo from the staff summary that says that the interim city manager shall prohibit staff from continuing the practice of spending personal funds. They shall observe normal procurement procedures of submitting requisitions for approval and conversion to purchase orders, authorizing procurement of goods and services. For travel expenses, purchase orders will be prepared in sufficient time. So what that tells me is we have to do a better job of planning out things that we're doing with regarding to owing vendors, with regard to things that may come up at the last minute, if it means making sure we have a place where we can go for those last minute items. I am totally in support of the agenda item. I think there are things in place that employees can utilize for purchase orders and getting things. The vice mayor, I know it's what she's saying, 'cause she's been involved in it where people will not accept our checks. I've heard that too, but that's a separate issue that needs to be addressed anyway. But I think we got to get out of business of having employees, especially regular employees, feeling that they got to go and spend their dollars to make it happen. We got to plan our events better. We got to plan things better so that we don't find ourselves in that situation. And I think this legislation pushes us to address the whole issue. So employees are not put in that position. But as I look at this page of the agenda cover memo, it addresses the fact of how it's going to take place going forward if this legislation passes. I would suggest to the vice mayor and my colleagues of the issue about us not paying vendors, so they don't want to accept us. That needs to be brought up. That needs to be addressed in some form so that we can not have folks not wanting to pay and you got to go with your own personal money. But I think the legislation is a step in the direction to make sure we just cut out that process and adhere to what is supposed to be the norm anyway, and force folks to plan out, whether it's staff, whatever. That's why you had a pre-meeting of what's going to take place. And if there's an emergency that requires whatever, they take it to the city manager and he makes the decision, or the clerk or the attorney, if it falls under their department, to make that decision. And of course, as stated earlier, if it falls under us, we've got the $200, pay it, get reimbursed. But I think the legislation pushes us in the right direction to deal with this issue once and for all. So I'm definitely in support of it. And look forward to the coming back of Vice Mayor, my colleague, Commissioner Williams, who has something they want to proffer to address the issues of non-payment and getting us out of that hole for not being able to go to different businesses in the city or what have you, that we can procure services. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Kelly. Any other discussion on this item? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Madam Attorney, 13-4.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, establishing a volunteer ambassador program for the city, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Mayor Taylor.
Can I get a motion?
Move it. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Bass. This legislation is just simply to establish a volunteer program here in the city of Opa-locka, which gives us a pool of residents that we can pull from that are willing to volunteer at events so that we can take the burden off of our employees. That's simply what this resolution is.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Bass?
Yeah, I pulled this item as well because I wanted some clarification on it. I read the backup documents. It also state something about greeting other officials that comes into the city and what have you. So my questions are, what is the criteria to be a part of this volunteer database? You want to go one at a time?
Sure.
Okay.
A resident, a willing vessel that wants to volunteer in the city of Opa-locka.
Okay. I'm just, I just think that we need to have a little bit more than being a resident in the city of Opa-locka. That's just one. I think we really need to look into that. And I wanted to know, what number are you looking towards to have? Because I think sometimes less is more.
Oh, that was it. This volunteer program is open to any and everybody, because you have a lot of residents that want to volunteer but don't simply know what's going on. So they say, I'll volunteer if you let me know in advance of the events that are going on. So this program will bring all of those people together and we say, we got this event coming up, we got this event, which one can you volunteer, which one can you commit to? So there is no cap on this on the amount of residents that can be a part of this.
Okay, I understand that, but let me just go back again. Criteria. I've been doing Miami-Dade County Public Schools volunteer database for almost 23 years.
Mhm.
And they are parents of our school, but there's still guidelines and stipulations to be able to be a volunteer. I'm just saying we need to look into this a little bit more. I'm not against it at all, but we still need to know who those persons are that will be a part of this database.
Mr. Mayor,
If you,
Mr. Mayor, just to clarify, this is a program, I'm directing the interim city manager to come back with the
I
program.
was just
So,
about to say that.
okay, I just wanna-
Okay.
But what Madam Attorney said.
I'm just saying. we gotta
Mr.
be-
Mayor,
Mhm.
and it's a database, correct? That's what yeah, so I think, yeah, and just to clear that up, it's having a database of residents that we can look at. It could be 20, it could be 30, it could be 50, that we choose, we're going to an event or can't make something, we can go through that database and pull out 3 or 5 or, to represent us. I think it's a great idea.
I'm not knocking the idea. I'm only saying this because of experience. Being a resident I think that's good. I'm not against that, but we need to look a little deeper. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, so,
I'll wait, Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
Commissioner Bass, maybe I'm not understanding what you mean when you say look a little deeper. I would never deny a resident that want to volunteer in the city of Opa-locka. Like it's hard when we're doing events and we don't have people out there. But if somebody wants to volunteer, I'm not gonna deny them. Like, so they don't need a 4-year degree to help pass out food to our seniors or to help clean up the park. I just want us to have people there. And if you notice now, when we have these events, it's the same people all the time. So I wanna broaden that and get more people involved.
Okay, let me ask you another question.
Go
Will
ahead.
there be a background check? I know it sounds outrageous, but listen to what I'm asking. Listen, I'm serious. It is the school. Okay, for instance, right, let me put it out there. If we have, let's go refer to the event that Vice Mayor had last week. What if we need volunteers to come? What if we have a pedophile? What if we have whomever? And we're like, okay, but we don't know this and we're gonna put them around our children.
I'll say this, Commissioner Bass, and I don't mean to challenge you on this, but Vice Mayor had volunteers, I'm sure, at that event, just like Commissioner Kelly has volunteers at the feeding, just like you all had volunteers at the Pearls thing yesterday. Did you do a background check on those people?
No, I did not,
My
but
point
this
is, but you
is gonna
allowed
be
them
through
to
the city.
volunteer. All of
Okay,
these events are through the city. It's a city function.
I'm gonna let this one go, but just. We talk about policies and procedures.
But Madam Commissioner, it also says that the process will be submitted to the commission for approval. So you can get with the city manager and the city clerk and you can work.
No.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly.
that must be a web thing down there. Y'all got that. I understand the concept and I do understand Commissioner Bass' concern. My question really goes to the manager is going to establish it. The clerk is going to develop the application process. So my question, I think maybe you just answered it. Anything that we think we'd like to see as a part of it or of that application process or what have you, we would give to the clerk. And would that process come back to the commission for approval prior to the actual establishment and put in purpose? Is that how it's going to work? Or once we pass it, is the application process automatically established and then goes into effect? I would hope it comes back to the commission.
Mr.
but-
Mayor, it say in the legislation, Commissioner Kelly,
I
that
was just
it
about
comes
say
back
that.
to the
It comes back
commission.
to the commission.
It comes back to the commission. Okay. Okay, I didn't see that in there. Thank you, Madam Attorney, because I didn't see that in there. Well, if that's the case, then I believe then all of us can give our thought process and it can come back. The other question I have, or amendment, Mr. Mayor, if we're going to do this, I think we need to look at, and since your legislation, I'll let you speak to the manager about it, because it's not a lot, but I think there ought to be some kind of line item for that, just for incidentals, because they are going to represent us in some fashion. It may mean one of those orange T-shirts. It may mean something that signifies that they are volunteering or ambassadors, whatever the term, for the city. So I'd like to see potentially maybe a line item, small amount, $200, $300, so that if there are things that will require these ambassadors, I'm really just thinking of a shirt or a pendant or a hat or something that will identify them as ambassadors, that will not have to come back to us. Although the manager probably could cover under his 25,000, but I think we got to put it in the legislation. That's just a friendly amendment. Otherwise, you can just deal with it with the manager. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. As far as the line item is concerned, I thought about T-shirts as well, but what I did was I reached out to a local business that's willing to actually donate shirts for this type of program. So we already, we on the same.
Yeah, I said shirts, it could be hat, whatever. I just wanted to come back that there will be something that maybe because of what they're doing, we want them to wear, have, or be a part, and it not have a line item that could be used for it. But
Yes, sir.
no problem. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Live without it.
Okay, any other discussion on this item? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
No.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes,
Motion passes 4-1.
thank you. Madam Attorney, 15-1.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, approving the final site plan request for the construction of a 6-story multifamily apartment building on the property located at the corner of Sesame Street and Alabama Avenue, and identified by folio number 08-2121-004-1861 in the historic downtown Opa-locka district, zoning district, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the interim city manager.
Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams. Second by Commissioner Bass. Mr. Manager, can you introduce this item?
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor. This is one of our developments, and one is the development agreement, and two is the site plan. And I have our Director of Community Development, Mr. Gregory Gay, available for discussion.
And before Mr. Gay presents, this is a public hearing item. Public hearing is open. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any discussion on this item before we bring on Mr. Gay? All right, Mr. Gay, would you like to present the item?
Mayor, members of the commission, Gregory Gay, Director of Planning and Community Development. First item is for a 6-story multifamily mixed-use development, which will be composed of 45 units. Of the 45 units, 40 will be 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 5 will be 3-bedroom, 2-bath. The ground floor will be composed of a 1,600 square foot retail space and parking. The number of parking spaces to be provided is 50 parking spaces with 2 handicap on site and 8 additional parking spaces on street. Because this project is within the historic downtown Opa-locka district, and which is also considered a transit-oriented development district, there is an opportunity to reduce the parking because of its proximity to the Tri-Rail station and other transit amenities that are within the area. This was presented before our Development Review Committee and also the Planning and Zoning Board. Both of those groupings recommended approval for the project, and staff also recommends approval for the project. And this is for the site plan.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
Vice Mayor?
did you say something about reducing parking just now?
Yes, this particular project will have 60 parking spaces. Out of the 60 breakdown is 52 on the site itself and 8 that will be on street.
Okay, I just thought I heard you said something about reducing parking because of tri-rail.
It is within the transit-oriented district, which
Okay.
allows for the reduction in the parking. So this is the parking prescription that they have prescribed, which basically gives you at least 1.15 parking spaces per unit.
I'm just asking because we have a habit of building things in the city of Opa-locka that don't have parking. And I can't promote things that don't have adequate parking. If it has adequate parking, fine. We have a bad habit of that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other discussion on this item?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
I had discussion with staff and the manager in my briefing on this because as the vice mayor is pointing out, we have that challenge and it's all over our city right now from previous development. And I'm challenged because in the information provided, there's 42 bedroom units, 3, 5, and 50 at grade parking spaces. And then I was told, I believe, correct me, Mr. Gay, if I'm incorrect, 8 off-street parking that allows them additional parking, correct?
That's correct.
Which I call side the road parking, but I know that's a professional name. Okay, and they allowed this a little leeway for parking because it's in a transit-oriented area. And I'm going to say the same thing that I said to staff. And Madam Attorney, I guess you can look at this going forward. I don't really plan to support anything going forward where I see this kind of mixture. Because what occurs is we pass these developments and we make the assumption that folks are going to ride Tri-Rail, Metro Rail, the bus, et cetera, and they're not doing it. You can look right over here at the seniors place by Fisherman. You can look on 22nd Avenue. You can look any development where there's housing, where we assume people are going to take mass transportation and they're not doing it. Everybody's got 2, 3, 4 cars, putting them side the road and whatever. And then we got issue if you cite them because they have nowhere to put the cars. And this allows it because of this transit oriented where they're going to be located to ask for the leeway on parking. So basically what you're saying is 45 units, 5 of which are 3 bedroom, which means more people. And you're basically saying you're having 50 grade parking spaces, 8 on the side of the road as a part of that. So you're basically saying everybody's gonna have 1 car or less than 1 car. And I know we get into that, you know, the code says 1.3, but the reality is it's not gonna happen. You're gonna have cars all over the place. And I want to look at that, Madam Attorney, Mr. Mayor, to the attorney, futuristically, because it'll be very challenging to hold these folks up at this point. We may need to look at that designation. Because when you build this, you're not going to have 45 or 50 cars. You're gonna have 60, 65, 70 cars. And you can look all around our city anywhere you want, new development, old development, and see it. South Florida is one of those places, I don't care how much mass transportation you got, people still getting their cars. It's not DC, this is not New York, this is not, you know, they're still getting their cars. And so I'm challenged with that. I understand I'm all for housing, and I'm not going to get into affordable versus workforce and all that conversation, because that's a whole different one, because I'm challenged with that as well. But even if it's workforce and you know, affordable housing, I use that term, it's still gonna be more than 1 car. You look at some developments we've allowed over the last few years, whether they've been triplexes, duplexes, bigger units, whatever, it's not enough parking. And we put ourselves in a position where cars are parking all side the road, wherever they can find the park. I have this challenge all the time right now with the police department, in other areas of the city, people parking on the sidewalk, on the swale, wherever, because they have nowhere to put a car. And they're living in, you know, the apartment building or the complex, and nowhere to put their 2 or 3 vehicles. So I'm really challenged with this. You know, I like the idea of development and housing is definitely a need. But there's no way you're gonna tell me with 45 units and 50 parking spaces that that's not going to create a major challenge. I really, like I said, at this point, it would be probably unfair to hold up the folks who done all this work, figuring they're going to get a, you know, a leeway on the parking issue. But I'm really torn between that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I think that's something the commission has to look at going forward. So, Madam Attorney, you can work on that. I definitely want to move in that direction. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Through the mayor, we'll work with Mr. Gay and his staff and
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem, Commissioner Kelly. Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
That was you? Okay.
So thank you to everyone, the comments that you made, because that's exactly what things that I wrote down. But I did want to just, so over the years, we've had this conversation before on the dais. My question, and I thank those on the planning and zoning, but this goes to planning and zoning board before it comes to us. So where I'm torn is are the comments that we've made, and not just now, but like these aren't new comments. Are they being mentioned? Is it said that these are the concerns that the commission has? If that can't happen because there's a separation and they have to be able to vote unbiased in terms of what we think. But what tends to happen is, and you know, you and I have had this push-pull before, what tends to happen is planning and zoning kind of goes through these items with, and I've said this before, are they asking these meaty questions? Or are we going approve, let's sit it on our laps so that now we can now flush it out. I said I was not going to use the word tonight, but too bad. So I'm just wondering, you know, in planning and zoning, that has to be said because this isn't a new thing. And then second, and not just parking, just everything that we talk about, the visuals of the building, the security of the building, will all these things that we've planned out before with architecture, Moorish architecture, all these things, you know, that is said before. And then next, we having this conversation about parking on the side. We went down this road before a little bit, a year, 2 years ago. There has to be a policy, and maybe that's where we talk about some legislation. I guess I talk about legislation that we look at, you know, them only allowing, like we know some apartment complexes only allow 2 cars, or after that, they must, you know, buy a permit or through the city, or, you know, they get a sticker or something. Like there has to be something in that in that agreement that they cannot have 5 cars for 1 apartment. And that's what's happening. So if we allow, because we see it at town center, cars everywhere because there was not enough parking. Now, what is the city's plan to cite these cars that are parking on our street? We got to come up. There has to be something here. And I think we're going to keep doing this. Like, feel like it's a dance because we're not addressing the elephant in the room.
Mr. Mayor?
One second, Mr. Manager. Any other questions for Mr. Gay? Okay, Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is also, as I've had this conversation with many of the members of the Commission 101, this is also a concern of mine, which is why I deferred the 2 items subsequent to this. I'd like to make the recommendation that we set aside some time at the mechanical and tandem parking workshop so that myself and community development can get some clear direction from the commission in a public forum, so that perhaps the recommendation of some legislation or some changes to the ordinance that reflects your will. So that, as Commissioner Williams stated, we're not going through this dance over and over again, that we have something in writing or we understand the will of commission that this is what we want to see for parking. This is what we're consider for variance, and this is what we certainly will never consider for variance. That will also save developers a lot of time and money as well. So I'd just like to make that recommendation that we put something on the agenda for the parking workshop to get the will of the commission regarding its will on parking.
Okay, but Mr. Manager, as it relates to this item tonight, because I heard what you said, so are we pulling it to defer it until the next commission meeting after we have the workshop? Or what are we doing? Because to Commissioner Kelly's point, it's not fair to kill it and these people are waiting. So
Is that a recommendation, Mr. Mayor?
no, because you went on to say that you want to have a discussion at the workshop. So I was asking, what was your point of that? Are you saying to pull it? Because you never said it.
No, sir, I pulled items 3 and 4.
So these you want us to vote on tonight?
Correct. I think there is, as Mr. Gay stated, the argument can be made for these to proceed if it's the will of the commission.
And if I may add to the mayor and commissioners, these items are discussed through the planning and zoning board. Their questions are asked in relationship to this, and we base our answers on what the code allows us to do. So if the code actually allows you to do a reduction for parking, because when you approved the zoning code back in 2015, you approved it with a transit-oriented development zone within it. And within those rules and regulations, those were available. These developers have looked at that. They take those things in consideration. They price their projects based on that, and they make their proper decisions and presentations based on it. So if that's something that you want to consider looking at further down the road, and I'm taking notes as it relates to what the transit-oriented development really allows as it relates to parking, that's something that we would need to do and further discuss.
Commissioner, I said Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. I don't like fluff. I don't like fluff. This commission has just sit here and said over the last year to 3 years, whatever, they've been talking about off parking and whatever. And then for you to say, when we listening to you, obviously, if folks are coming before you based on transit-oriented development and it allows it, you should have came at this commission a long time ago and said, we need to revisit that. And that's why I said what I said to the attorney. I want to bring that legislation to deal with it, because right now we're in class 22 because it allows for it. That's one of the reasons it's talking about the other items because they don't fit into the same law. So I want to support this grudgingly because I don't think we can hold them up facing some kind of legal action. Am I correct, Madam Attorney?
That could be a possibility. Yes.
Well, thank you. I'm correct in a sense, it would possibly cause legislation. We can't change at this point. So I'm going to support it, but what I will say, we're going to do a workshop, but I still want to look at the transit-oriented ordinance and a part of the code to change it. Because we cannot continue to allow it. And even though, you know, you're going by the code, we have to change it. So for me, I'm putting on the record, any that comes after this, where it's transit oriented, that gives some leeway for parking, where you got 40 units and 45 parking spaces, we know it's not enough. Commissioner Kelly's not gonna support it. I'm telling you in advance. So it's no if and ands, people spend their money going through the process, because otherwise, at the end of the day, the commission still ends up having to deal with this and all the headaches. So to me, we got to support this in essence. Some challenges, but I think I'm really clear until we deal with this through the workshop and the ordinance change, which I definitely will be proposing. Planning and zoning knows how this commission feels about it. So you should take notes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And Mr. Mayor, I just want to, through the mayor, I just want to put on the record, just so that you all know, this will likely be as Mr. Gay knows, a process because you will need to address your comp plan. You'll need to address other documents in advance, most likely, but it's certainly something we can start the discussion about, through the manager's office and have a workshop and do other things that might bring issues back to you all. But it will be a process. It won't be, 2 readings of an ordinance. It won't be that simple. And I just want to make sure, everybody's aware.
Mr. Mayor,
Vice Mayor.
this location also has retail, am I correct?
Yes,
So where they go park on the street? I mean, Opa-locka Boulevard has, those businesses have no parking. I mean, not me, but the other business, other than the hardware store, they have no parking. So we gonna be the city of no parking spots. I can't support this.
Okay, so you heard the,
Well, Mr. Mayor, real quick. So I want to be clear because I think we all agree, like we
yeah, that's
agree.
what I was just about to say.
But with this particular item, we need to move it
Yeah,
yay or nay, up and down, however we vote, only because, of what our legal, our city attorney said. So we don't want to get in any trouble, but I think moving forward, Mr. Gay, let's fix it, please. Let's fix it.
Well,
Thank you.
the manager stated we're gonna have a workshop and we're gonna discuss
Yes.
it and then we're gonna move forward with our comp plan. So let's call the question, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
No.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
Madam Attorney, 15-2.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida.
Madam Attorney, a resolution. 15A.
15-8.
Development agreement.
15A.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka.
15A2. Thank you. I am rushing this meeting along. A resolution of
with
the
you.
City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, approving the development agreement request for the construction of a 6-story multifamily apartment building on the property located at the corner of Sesame Street and Alabama Avenue and identified by folio number 08-2121-004-1861 in the historic downtown Opa-locka district, zoning district, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the interim city manager.
Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams. Second by Commissioner Bass. Mr. Manager, please introduce the item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is simply the development agreement that goes along with the site plan for the item that you just voted on. We also have the Director of Community Development, Mr. Gregory Gay, available to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, this is a public hearing item. Public hearing is open. Public hearing is closed. I want to take a point of privilege and say that you all heard our concerns on this item, so we can go ahead and call the question.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
No.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes,
Motion passes 4-1.
okay, Madam Attorney, 16D1.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, amending Chapter 16, Article 1, Section 16-1 to change the name of the Youth Advisory Board to Teen and Young Adult Advisory Board for the City of Opa-locka, Florida, amending membership requirements and duties of the board, providing for composition of the board, providing for adoption of representations, providing for conflict and repealer, providing for codification and severability, providing for an effective date. The first reading and public hearing was held on February the 22nd, and this is sponsored by the Commissioner Williams.
Can I get a motion? Moved by Commissioner Bass,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor. Commissioner Williams, can you go ahead and introduce your item?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory, just adding a little bit more language into the Youth Advisory Board that we voted on. The board, well, that we already had, the board was a youth board. This, however, is teen and young adult. So that's pretty much the gist of it.
Okay, this is a public hearing item. Public hearing is open. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Do we have any discussion on this item? Hearing none, we're gonna call the question, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bath.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
Madam Attorney, 16B2.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, amending the annual adopted general proprietary and special revenue funds budgets for the fiscal year commencing October 1, 2022, and ending September 30th, 2023, adjusting revenues and expenditures as reflected in Exhibit A, providing for expenditure of funds established by the budget, authorizing the city manager to take certain actions, providing for the appropriation of all budgets and expenditures, providing for fees consistent with appropriations and amendment, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflict and repealer, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. The first reading was held on March the 8th, 2023, and this is sponsored by the interim city manager.
Okay, Mr. Manager. Oh, sorry, can we get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor,
Second.
second by, I think I heard Commissioner Williams. All right, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is budget, the second reading for budget amendment number 2 for fiscal year 23. You've already on the first budget reading of this ordinance passed on the ARPA projects, which is the fire station, the mortgage and rental assistance programs, the rehabilitation of Helen Miller and Ingram Park, the Artscapes and Trees program, and the small business grants. We have now had the need to add some additional amendments. 3 CIP projects. One had a surplus of $300,000, to which we are allocating $240,000 of that to a second project and $12,000 to another project in the residential neighborhood, which still remains a surplus of about $47,000. The next are some items that are required as to support legislation that you have voted on. $45,000 amendment for the reopening of Ingram Park, $5,000 amendment for to support the police community service. This is a department that we did not create a budget line item for. So we want to move that forward. We're going to utilize 50% savings of vacancies in that department, so it does not have a financial impact. And we received a grant last year of $40,000 to support the vendors over the Opa-locka flea market. We're now prepared to make those payouts, and we are requesting your permission with this budget amendment for the $40,000 reallocation assistance program.
Okay, this is a public hearing item. Public hearing is open. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any discussion or questions as it relates to this?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
thank you. I just want to be sure in the Ingram Park, Mr. Manager, that this is going to be sufficient for those. I don't see the word equipment here. I see the irrigation vehicle, but the equipment to make sure that we're able to do the really clean up the things we do to get Ingram Park reopened. This
Yes,
amount
sir.
is going to be enough.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want to make sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other discussion on this item? Okay, Mr. Manager, and I brought this up in our agenda briefing. The only concern that I have is the relocation assistance grant that we received last year. And I asked then, why did it take so long for it to come on a budget amendment when it was received last year before, I believe it was in August when we received it. So, and I still haven't gotten an
So I must have not been present on your agenda briefing meeting when that question came up, but I'm prepared to answer it now, Mr. Mayor. That program is a grant program that we have through the Miami Foundation. We were unclear as to how that was going to actually be allocated, so we didn't want to have an expenditure and then have to pay something back. We are now making the decision that they're going to allow us to keep the whole funding, even if not all of the vendors take up the entire 40,000. They just sent us an email stating that we'd be allowed to allocate the rest to administrative expenses.
Okay,
So in addition, my office required that the vendors have active business license with the city of Opa-locka. One of the issues that we found as we were moving vendors from the old Opa-locka flea market to the new Opa-locka flea market is that some of them had existed in the city for many, many years without having an active business license with the city of Opa-locka. So my office had shared, and we've done workshops with them. We've done one-on-one meetings with them. Our building and license department has provided them with assistance to walking the process through Durham so that they can get active business license. So, and we anticipate that most of them, the majority of them, 90% of them or greater, will be ready with active business license by the end of this month.
okay. But Mr. Manager, and I brought this up again, we had an event in the city of Opa-locka where we brought the vendors to the city of Opa-locka. We had the Miami Foundation there, and I don't remember the other organization. And we signed the business owners up in order to receive the funding to do exactly what you just said, which was relocate and use that funding for the business licenses in the city of Opa-locka. So my concern is still that, and I believe when we cut the ribbon, we gave $500 to the first person that moved into, which was the lady that when you first walk in to your left-hand side. So my concern is that we are here almost a year later and we're just now seeing this come on our books. So that's my concern. And I brought that up in the agenda briefing. And so I'm gonna use Commissioner Williams' term. It gives me pause. That gives me pause. Because it seems like we've been sitting on $40,000. And so, but if you say you have a plan, we have a plan, then, but I never really got my answer. So at the agenda briefing, but
okay.
But I just don't want us, I'm gonna say this. I don't want us to get in the habit of receiving grants from people and we're not spending the money in a timely manner. So I'll say that. So we got it in August. We had an event. We signed people up. People were expecting the $500 per business. We have the record of that. Yet they never received the money to do exactly what we said that we was going to do with it, which was pay your license fee and help you with your moving expenses from the city of Opa-locka through the Miami Foundation. So I just want to put it on record that this budget amendment gives me pause.
So, Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Go ahead.
just to provide you some clarification, the previous legislation that was brought to you and approved actually waived their expenses for business licensure. So they have no expenses. All that was required is that they go through the process to get a business license with the city of Opa-locka. And we have been pushing all of the vendors to get that done. And in fact, we provided them with a deadline and stated, if you do not meet this deadline, not only will you not get this money, but we are going to move forward with you with code enforcement action to shut your business down. So it has been a very reluctant process with these vendors since, why do I need a license? I've been here for 40 years. I never had a license before. Even though we've had a member of our building a license that was assigned to the Opa-locka flea market, educating them, speaking with them, walking through the process, and then the Durham process, which many of them had never gone through and were unfamiliar with. Some of those have took up to 9 months. So we were moving as quickly as possible, but I do hear your concern.
Okay. Madam Attorney.
That it's not that they're not, certain people don't have to get the business tax receipt, but it's not everybody. It's only if it meets the statutory exemption. So I'm assuming you all are looking at that. But there is one thing I wanted to put on the record, and I've I said it the very first time it came up, this issue came up in a meeting, and I've said it a couple of times after that, and I just want to make sure everybody's aware. We do have a provision in the code that talks about where flea markets and bazaars are permitted to operate. And it's supposed to be on a minimum lot size of 25 acres. So that needs to be changed. If that's not what you all want to do now and you're doing something else. And so wherever this is supposed to be, if it's not on a minimum lot size of 25 acres, that needs to come back to the commission as a revision to your code, because right now it doesn't sound like you're operating consistent with the code.
So we will, at your advice, be bringing legislation for the commission to vote on for just that exact item.
All right.
Okay, so also, Mr. Manager, can you please provide me with the stipulations of the grant and how the monies were supposed to be spent, please?
Absolutely.
Because we got it to support the businesses, and I just want to make sure that we are doing what we say we are going to do. All right, so we can call the question if there are any more concerns on this item. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Bass?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, we're going to our city manager's report. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just wanted to say to our residents, say to the participants here of the commission meeting and all of our elected officials, you have a handout here covering the American Rescue Plan Act workshop results. This budget amendment has passed. So as of tomorrow, the departments that will be receiving these funds, including CIP, including Parks and Recs, will now be able to move on these items. For just to restate, first place came in the Helen Miller and Ingram Parks renovation. Second place was the rental and mortgage assistance program. Third place was the renovation and restoration of historic fire station. And fourth place was a tie between two programs, the small business grants and the Artscape program and tree plantings program. We have met with the ARPA consultants who are preparing the reports to go to the federal government, demonstrating how we are going to spend these funds. And upon the recommendation of the city attorney, we're also going to provide this in a resolution to you for approval.
Okay, Mr. Manager, do have a question as it relates to the rental and mortgage assistance. Do we have a date certain? Because you talked about the consultant, or we're bringing the consultant before the commission for approval. So do we have a date certain when the monies will be dispersed?
We are going to start dispersing monies immediately. We have 17 applications that the CRA have already collected and approved. And we intend to start dispersing these funds.
Not on the CRA side, I'm talking about on the city side.
That is on this, we can only pay for city side.
Okay, no, because you brought up the CRA. So what the date certain is tomorrow? You said immediately.
For the 17 applications that we have, that's correct.
All right.
So the process is that the CRA receives all of the applications, and then those applications that are outside the CRA, which they cannot spend money on, they send to the city, and we spend the money on those applications.
Okay, so as early as tomorrow, which is the 23rd. Okay, any other questions to the manager on his report? Wait, I'm sorry, were you done with your report, Mr. Manager?
Yes.
Okay.
Complete.
Any other questions on the manager, to the manager?
I have one more item.
Go ahead, Mr. Manager.
So we had a incident today. We were given a tour of development sites to one of a member of the county administration upon their request. And as we were passing by the waterfront area of Ingram Park, where a lot of the residents and people outside the community come to launch the water vehicles, we happened upon a gentleman in a cargo vehicle that was there illegally dumping right there in broad daylight. As I'm sitting there, the assistant city manager is sitting there, the county officials are sitting there. He's there unloading his cargo trailer, dumping items right there onto that property, waterfront property. We were immediately able, our community policing officer, Darren Shiverton, was in the area. He immediately apprehended the suspect, and I subsequently called the chief of police who sent Captain Alvarado and his patrol team out there, and they were able to arrest and apprehend and have the suspect clean up the property. I'm requesting from the city attorney if a city employee such as myself can get the reward for calling that in. And if not,
No, that's a no.
and if not, I'd just like to remind our residents that this legislation is there. There are rewards for if we're able to apprehend someone from dirtying up our city. This is something we take very, very seriously. We've made dozens of arrests on this, and we're going to continue to press hard on this. So we want the community to lock arms with us, and because this is successful and it's keeping our city clean. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. Any questions or concerns to the city manager? No? Good job on arresting
Mr. Mayor.
those people for the illegal dumping, Mr. Manager. Kudos to you on that. I'm sure the people on Wilmington Street are happy. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Kelly?
This is for the manager.
Yes, sir, for the manager.
Mr. Manager, you just mentioned the 17 rental assistants. I'd like to get in black and white the exact process from the time you get the applications from CRA, the steps that are taken or needed for folks to get a check. So I can be clear on what that process is from beginning to ending. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
Mr. City Manager, Mr. One minute to the mayor.
It's okay, go ahead.
Do we have the I did receive applications to give to some of the people that I know, but do we have them in Creole? They say that there's one in Spanish. I don't think I got it, but is there one in Creole as well?
I'm not sure if there's one in Creole, but we do have one in Spanish, and we can get one in Creole.
Okay, I think that would be good.
Yes.
Thank
and
you.
we will work on that.
Thank you.
Okay. And as it relates to this, and I'm not gonna beat that dead horse, once you dispense those monies and send them out, please inform the commission so we can let people know that, hey, your check is with your landlord as of this date. The next item is our official board reports. Madam Clerk, do we have any official board reports?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Huh? You said we do?
I do apologize, Mr. Mayor. I believe we do have a report from the Community Relations Board.
Okay.
Mr. Dennis.
All right. Mr. Dennis, you have the floor.
I'm sorry, he is the chair of the
committee,
board.
okay.
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. We met yesterday, I think it was, yesterday, the 21st at 6:20. I was elected chairman. Angelina Roberts was elected co-chairman. The board, Calissa Miss Flo Wright and Deacon Eugene Stanley. One of the things that we did discuss was a lot of things that we did wanted to combine with the city parks and recreation to be able to bring different events and to help them coordinate events with the park. And we also wanted to bring special events to the park. We know that it's late in the year, but we did discuss bringing back the Arabian Nights Festival starting next year. I think that the appointments that were made and given to the board that we work on behalf of the city, I think we have a great team. And I really appreciate the appointments because this team really does see that the city can be used and valuable and would also give the commission the necessary publicity that it needs to get this thing off our back. We also spoke about our veterans and our seniors and trying to make sure that each and every demographic of the city is included in activities. Also, we've received elderly care planning for our seniors, our veterans and people of that nature, so that they're living alone, they can receive services as well. And this concludes my report.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Dennis?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Williams?
I don't have a question, but this might be the first or second time someone actually came up and did a board report. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
I totally appreciate hearing back from a board, what was, anything. So thank you for the report. I appreciate that.
Any
You're
other,
welcome, Commissioner Woods.
any other questions for Chair Dennis?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
I'm just glad to see the board functioning and look forward to all the other boards functioning and working with the city. Thank you very much.
And Vice Mayor?
I attended the meeting on yesterday as I was the chairperson of that same board. I don't know if now is the time to say this or not, but there's I think an at-large appointment, which is Dottie Johnson. Did you say? Is Dottie Johnson the at-large? We're hoping that maybe we can get like a temporary person to fill her shoes as she isn't well. And then there's another appointment.
We do have another vacancy. It's a at-large
Yes.
appointment as well.
And do I wait to?
No. I was just gonna say, stick a pin right there. Madam Attorney, can we appoint a temporary person in Commissioner Johnson's seat? No, we cannot.
No, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Well, when we were talking on yesterday about the position that's available, it had Mrs. Banks' name written all over it, as she has been with Park and Recreation for a long time. The co-chair did reach out to her, and she's willing to accept the position if we give it to her.
Who's the-
Ms. Banks.
Is that at large? Isn't that a large position?
Yes.
Well,
Yes, we do have one at-large vacancy.
Mr. Mayor, at the appropriate time, let's move that.
I was just about to.
Yeah.
Is there any other applicants that applied for? Oh, I'm sorry. Let's keep moving. So we did any other questions for Chair Dennis?
No.
Any other question for Chair Dennis?
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Chair Dennis, for your hard work and dedication to the community relations. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Mayor Commission reports. We can go from left to right.
Okay.
Mr. Williams, do you have a report?
Okay, so I just want to thank everyone that came out last Thursday's Pearls of Wisdom. Great event, great turnout, specifically for our teen girls and everyone, women of all ages were there, and it was the words, the inspiration, and I'm just excited because some of the panelists want to keep this going, specifically here in the city of Opa-locka. So I'm excited, and thank you, Commissioner Bass, for partnering on the event. So let's just keep girl power going. Secondly, I just want to mention April 22nd. More details will be coming out on the Earth Day event. It's moving parts every day. More people are partnering, and I'm glad to announce that Juice to Find will be partnering with me to make this a very big, what I plan to be small, but is turning out to be a large scale event, and I'm pretty excited. So once those details come out, but I just want you to save the date, April 22nd. And lastly, I just wanted to, I was wrote before interesting enough, during the Citizens Forum, the business owner that talked about the signage and the color. So I basically wanted to address that. And again, I was like, he must be reading my mind. So to my colleagues, I wanted to address a concern that a number of businesses have brought not only to my attention, but I'm sure to a lot of your attentions as well. That's the issue of signage. So much like some of the challenges that we discuss regarding code enforcement there doesn't seem to be a uniform policy around signage in our community and what that looks like in terms of understanding the rules. So by our businesses, the rules by our businesses, also what are those rules by our code enforcement officers? This is something that I would like to work with the manager's office to address. I think we can, what I would like to see is a workshop with our businesses and with code enforcement officers so that we can hear from our businesses, so that we can make those changes and hear what are those changes to legislation. So, and I know we have meetings scheduled. I guess Ms. Flores will, plan this out, map this out. But the signage has always been an issue, and it is an issue, and we need to fix that. So I would like to, again, work with the manager's office to, on that legislation. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Bass?
I would like to say thank you to everyone, like Commissioner Williams said, who came out to support us in Pearls of Wisdom. It was actually an extravagant event. The girls loved it, and I'm looking forward to continue hosting with you. And to our Vice Mayor, thank you for the shindig on Saturday. We all had fun.
I gotta go back. Thank you for the pool party. That was a blast.
Thank you. Excuse me.
Did she have green cake and banana pudding?
We had Publix cupcakes.
You out of order.
So
We're targeting my baby, by the way. I'm not gonna say with water guns.
I have to say, well, last meeting, people had to use the bathroom and stuff like that. So I wasn't able to give my commissioner's report last meeting. So I'm gonna take just a few minutes extra, only to say that karaoke in Opa-locka was amazing. It was amazing. And hopefully, God's willing, we can do it again. May 20th, I haven't talked to the city manager about it yet, but hopefully May 20th, we're gonna see. Also, I wanted to know, because this is our second meeting and we haven't said anything as of yet, and I know it's gonna be probably half a day event. We need to come up with a date that we can do the Civil Service Board workshop. And that business workshop that you're talking about, Commissioner Williams, that needs to be more than an hour too, because I'm going to be the first one sitting there. Yes. Yes, it's going to take a minute. I want to thank I always call it the Park and Recreation Board. Forgive my ignorance, but thank you guys so much for coming together. And I love the ideas that you all had on last evening to make our city pop. I appreciate it very much, and not to go without remembering that we do have veterans, and the fact that to merge the youth with the veterans was really a lovely idea. And as I'm the co-sponsor of this event, I have to make mention of it. I'm sorry, bingo. Bingo was amazing on Friday. Yeah. I won't sing my song for you guys, but they loved it. They loved the new twist because it was also St. Patrick's Day. They loved the twist. And because of Mr. Wills, I had to make key lime cupcakes because it was St. Patrick's Day. So we enjoyed key lime cupcakes. Also, I want to say thank you to Public Works, I believe it is, or whomsoever removed the majority of those broken lamp posts. I do appreciate it. Your good works do not go without being noticed. And Mr. Romos and earlier with the paint, he is actually the second business owner that I know that have had conversation about being forced or can't have the colors of paint just to make their business pop when people are passing by. So I think we need to look at that as well. The business color charts. And also I want to say, as I'm strolling around Facebook today, I got my picture from over the weekend. They were beautiful. However, I didn't see not a one picture from this weekend on our Facebook post, or even from Pearls of Wisdom on Thursday. I didn't see any. So I'm not sure who's overseeing our Facebook page as of yet. If it's the PR firm so far? Well, they're not doing a good job. Not Thursday's event, not today is Wednesday. And after a while, people are going to forget that we even had these events. So we have to get these things out there as soon as we can. I'd appreciate it. And I think, and the pool party this weekend, it was nice. Thank you so much for everybody, not the mayor, but all of my colleagues came out to support us. I really do appreciate it. Commissioner Williams' son is, I got him. We went to buy water guns to get him back. Yes. So we did have a good time. The manager got to get inside of our chilled water. Ooh, I ain't gonna tell nobody we need a pool heater, but yeah, we all had a really nice time. I thank all the residents that came out to support. It was amazing. Thank you so much. And like I tell everybody that I come across in the city, this is a new day in Opa-locka. We're brighter than ever. And we plan to get bright. I didn't have my shades. I would have put them on.
That's right.
But just keep watching the
She don't need no sugar.
Thank you all so much. Thank you. And Pearls of Wisdom. I didn't wear pink, and also I didn't want to iron, so I didn't wear pink. But it was a very, very nice event. Very nice event, very. And if we could keep in prayer, I don't know her name. I know that she was in Miss Davis. If we can keep Miss Davis in prayer, she was just with us on bingo Friday night, took pictures with Commissioner Kelly and wound up falling ill. I think it was Saturday. So if we can keep her in prayers, along with Dottie Johnson. I haven't been able to reach her and I keep trying like almost every day. So I'm gonna have to make a visit to her. You shaking your head no? To her house. Thank you very much.
And for the record, I have already apologized to Vice Mayor because I had car problems. So for the record.
We would have sent you an Uber.
And also she, we call it in church a prayer list. We also want to keep Commissioner Holmes in our prayer. I spoke to him yesterday as well. And Commissioner Kelly.
I left something for him. I didn't say anything about feeding South Florida on Friday.
You're on the road.
You did all everybody down.
So I don't know what's happening with this. Very briefly,
They say you're talking into the mic like a pastor. You got to talk into a person. That's what he told me when I told him that.
she's on a roll tonight.
I started kicking it. Don't give me sugar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to echo all of the events that took place from the Women's History to spring break and bingo, all of those community events. I do want to find out, Mr. Manager, if you could submit to us, what is the process for things making it to Facebook and our social media platforms? Because they seem to get there many days after they've occurred. But I do commend all of my colleagues for the events that they had. We, of course, had Feeding South Florida on this past Friday morning. As you're aware, we have Farm Share the first Wednesday, Feeding South Florida third Friday at Siegel Park. And next month, we're going to have the driving license, folks with us for those who may need IDs or things of that nature. So please keep that in mind. As you heard, we're still working to reopen Ingham Park. We had a slight delay as we see to make sure we had the funding to do some of the things we need to do. So the community cleanup that was scheduled for this Saturday is being postponed for a few weeks, so you'll hear a later date. But my intent is still to get that park open very, very soon for the residents in our community. I'm glad I did hear about the rental assistance program, so I'm looking forward to that as well. She did leave, but I wanted to acknowledge Dr. Stephanie Russell, who was here from Faith in Florida with us early and had to leave. Mr. Manager, I did receive some feedback from residents about some of the BB Monday concerns, particularly with folks parking in the wrong areas. They did see police presence, address some of those concerns. So I do thank you for that. We just have to move forward more diligently and to make sure as we go forward, folks take us seriously in terms of enforcement, especially when they're parking in areas they shouldn't be parking in. I'll leave the last comment to the mayor. I do want to ask Mr. Mayor, since you have in your report the 99 things, so you're going to address that. The workshop that we have scheduled, and I did hear you mention, Vice Mayor, and to my other colleague regarding the signage, painting, et cetera, because there was legislation passed, but it was put on hold because there was such an uproar and never revisited. So I would hope that you all would schedule that as soon as possible, Civil Service Board and the signage, so that we can address those issues and moving forward. And I still look forward to work with the attorney on the transit orient issue for development. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. And to close out, Mr. Manager, the financial oversight update, let's get it in 30 sec. I'm sorry, before you do that, just prepare yourself 30 seconds and then announce the date for the workshop. Commissioner Williams.
I'm so sorry. I'm getting old and I'm trying to remember stuff off the top of my head and I can't, so I need to write the stuff down. Please come out Saturday, starting at 9 a.m. for food distribution, community health fair, Church of Our Lord in Alabama is going to be awesome. Thank you, Wayne Barton and everyone else, and Pastor Dwayne Brown, everyone that's going to make this a huge event, to the police department, chief, everyone, for everybody putting their heads together, the city. So again, this Saturday, Church of Our Lord, Alabama, food distribution. From what I hear is going to be, he's got food for over 500 people, as well as a community health fair. Green Envy truck will be there. A lot of food trucks. Is going to be great. Thank you.
Okay. And Mr. Manager?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
The financial oversight update.
So you've requested the 30-second
30-second
version.
version.
So the 30-second version is that we are aggressively moving forward. There's two components to our review, responding to the giving our response to their response of the work that we've done on the 99 findings. That is due by April 7th. We are looking to have a workshop with the commission on April 5th. This will also now be a dual workshop that will also cover our review of our parking ordinances and recommendations for from the commission regarding parking. So we will have I'm imagining we'll have 1 hour, 6 to 7 on April 5th, and 90 minutes to 2 hours to cover the 99 findings. And that'll be on April 5th, Wednesday, April 5th, from 6 to 9 or 6 to 8:30, depending on how much time we require. We are on track to complete our third audit by December. Submitting now I'm switching over to our annual financial reports. That will, as stated many times, that will place us on the timely submission for June, in June for our 2023 audit, which will be the first time that the city of Opa-locka will submit a annual financial report on time in over a decade. This is a very important step. It is the first criteria as stated by the state for us to start moving ourselves out of financial oversight. So very, very happy and excited to report that we're continuing to be on the move. We also received we've been receiving some media inquiries regarding the status of our audits. That seems to be a hot button item right now, both at the state and now locally. We did open up at with the guidance of our media and PR firm, we did open up my office, the finance department, the budget department, to review the work that we've done for full transparency. So no one can say that they don't know what we're doing. We've got our doors open to them and we're responding and answering to their questions.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any questions on the 99 findings of the financial oversight? Recovery plan for the manager? Hearing none. Vice Mayor says she has a two-second announcement.
I just wanted to say that hello to my son that came out tonight, Jamal. Yes,
Really?
that's it.
Really,
Really.
really.
Well, I want to shout out to my wife who's in the front row.
I want to shout out my wife that's watching online. Do you want to shout out somebody?
I'd like to shout out to Dr. Powell for keeping my catfish warm.
Like, all right, we're getting ready to move on to our official board appointments hearing. Do we have anybody? Okay, you proffer a name for, but I was gonna ask you, there was a young lady that actually asked to be on that board, the young girl that came up. Do you think Ms. Banks would mind, Ms. Kimberly Downer, being on that board as opposed to?
At a later time, we have to have that conversation about Dottie Johnson at
Okay.
some point, so she can get Dottie Johnson's spot.
Okay, well, you work that out with Commissioner Johnson. All right, so I'm gonna, if you don't mind, proffer Kimberly Downer's name for that board. So that's Kimberly Downer. It's the young lady that came up the other commission meeting. Oh, they talk about wanting to do events in the city of Opa-locka and wanting to get involved on this board.
Mayor, but does she need to fill out an application for an at-large or no?
Yes,
We
she
just-
will need to fill out. an
That's what I'm
application.
wondering.
Once
But
she's appointed, I mean, normally we get the applications prior to, but
Yeah.
as soon as she's appointed, we'll reach out to her to make sure
Okay,
she
yes.
completes the
Okay,
application.
perfect.
Okay, so that's that's the name I'm proffering. I don't know if anybody else has a different name. Okay, so can I get a motion?
Motion to accept Miss Kimberly Downer
Okay.
for the at-large
In
position.
a second. Okay, all in favor, say yay.
Yeah.
Aye.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, who's second? Oh, Commissioner Bass?
Commissioner Bass and
Okay.
Commissioner Williams. All right, so if our hearts and minds are clear, we're gonna motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Williams, second by Vice Mayor. And we want to thank Jamal for attending our commission meeting on tonight. This meeting is adjourned.